Good evening, Wareham, and welcome to the March 19th Select Board meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Tonight in attendance is Mr. Slavin, Mr. Bessie, Ms. Whiteside, myself, Jared Chadwick. Also with us is Mr. Bowen, and I believe Mr. Sullivan is there as well.
He is. Yep. Okay, great. Ms. Slavin, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a very full agenda this evening, and I'm going to try my best to get our full-time town employees in and out of the meeting so that they can have the rest of the day off. Residents' comments. Comments on non-agenda items shall be limited to 2 minutes, and there will be no more than 10 minutes per meeting. Based on past practice, the Select Board will not respond or comment. Is there anyone here who wants to address the board on a non-agenda item?
I'm not seeing anything.
Seeing nothing, okay. Announcements. Mr. Slavin, please.
No.
Did you say no?
No.
Okay. I'm going to ask for a moment of silence before we go further. David McKinnon died the other day. David McKinnon retired as the superintendent of the Wareham school system. He actually worked for the schools for 34 years. He was extremely well respected, much loved by many people. So I would just ask that we have a moment of silence for him, please. Thank you. Mr. Bessie, announcements?
Not tonight.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes, I have two.
Sure you do.
One is congratulations to the Vikings boys basketball team on the state championship win, 2 years in a row now. Second announcement is Maya's Militia, which it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization that fights childhood cancer. This organization, I believe, was started by Joint Base Cape Cod firefighters for one of their members that had a child with cancer. Since then, they've kept it going. They're still raising money and doing events to raise money for childhood cancer. With that said, on Saturday, April 6, 2024, at 1 p.m. at Stone Path Malt Tap Room, 11 Kendrick Road in Wareham, they will be having a cornhole tournament with placement prizes, food and beverage, available raffle items, 50-50 raffle. It will be $100 per team, limit 2 players per team, double elimination, spectators encouraged. To sign up, please go to mayasmilitia@gmail.com. That's MAYASMILITIA@gmail.com.
Thank you. I have no other announcements. We do have a 7:15 hearing. However, I'm going to ask that Mr. Faraday speak to the warrant article that the Conservation Commission will be bringing forward on the special town meeting. Mr. Faraday, would you identify yourself for the record, please?
Good evening. My name is Josh Faraday. I'm the Conservation Administrator for the town of Wareham, and thank you for having me. Tonight, what I'm discussing is to see if the town will vote to amend Division 6, Article 1, the Wetlands Protective Bylaw, which was adopted by the town of Wareham during the April 26, 2004 spring special town meeting, and it was finally approved by the Attorney General going into effect June 29th of 2004. What we're looking to do is, within Section 14 of the regulations, we're looking to delete the following language, which would be, these regulations shall be limited to the administrative matters, including but not limited to procedures governing the amount of filing fees and the submittal requirements of applications. And if it seems pertinent, I can discuss the reasons why we're looking to remove that language.
The Conservation Commission, I'm presuming, voted unanimously to support this, is that correct? Yes.
That'd be correct.
Yep. And this was drawn up, you just quickly, the Conservation Commission was able to hire a consulting firm to help you work on the regulations, is that correct?
That'd be correct.
And that the recommendation actually comes from the consultant at the moment, right? Any questions,
Affirmative.
Mr. Farady? No? Okay. Mr. Farady, we won't be able to vote on this tonight because it's on the special, which hasn't been closed yet, but thank you very much. And unless you have anything else to say to us, good night.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you, you as well. Miss Nichols, Jackie Nichols, would you identify yourself for the record, please?
Good evening. My name is Jackie Nichols from the Assessor's Office. I'm here this evening to talk to you about an article that we have on the special town meeting to fund the state-mandated revaluation of both real estate and personal property for the town. The warrant article is to see if the town will vote to transfer from overlay surplus or available funds a sum of money necessary to complete a state-mandated revaluation of all real estate and personal property in the town, or to take any other action thereto. The sum that we're asking for is $140,000. That will cover both the personal property and the real estate. We sent out requests for proposals and returned a real estate proposal for $89,000 and personal property for $51,000, totaling $140,000. Little bit of history on this. This is a 5-year revaluation cycle that we're in now. It used to be 3 years, but when they started doing interim adjustments, which means adjusting the values every year, they decided to go to a 5-year cycle. When I say they, I mean the DOR, Division of Local Services, who oversees our values and our work. Are there any questions about the article?
Where's the money coming from, Ms. Nichols? Where's the money coming from?
The money's coming from the overlay surplus, which was $140,000 was released by the Board of Assessors on March 7th.
So does this have an impact on the tax rate?
It does not.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I should have said that in the beginning.
That's okay. Any questions from my board members? No? Ms. Nichols, thank you very much. We won't be able to vote on it, as you heard earlier, because it's on the special, which is still open, but thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Mr. Foster, are you available? John Foster, identify yourself for the record, please.
John Foster, Finance Director, Treasurer Collector.
And you are here to ask us to do what, sir?
We're renewing a $2.975 million ban for the elementary school. We went out to bid last week on March 14th. We received 4 bids, the lowest bid coming from Fidelity Capital Markets with a net interest cost of 3.4796.
You have given us documents that we must read into the record. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
Okay. This is the vote that the board must take, but I'm a faster reader than Mr. Chadwick, especially at this point, he says. So I'm going to read into the record what the clerk will move as a motion, if that's okay, Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I, the clerk of the Select Board of the Town of Wareham, Massachusetts, certify that at a meeting of the board held March 19th, 2024, of which meeting all members of the board were duly notified and at which a quorum was present, the following votes were unanimously passed, all of which appear upon the official record of the board in my custody. Voted, we hereby determine, in accordance with General Law, Chapter 70B, that the cost of the Wareham Elementary School project authorized by a vote of the town passed on October 22nd, 2018, Article 5, being financed with proceeds of the notes defined below, together with all bonds and notes of the town previously issued to pay costs of this project, does not exceed the portion of the total cost of the project that is not being paid by the school facilities grant, and we hereby approve the issuance of notes and bonds to finance the project under General Law, Chapter 70B. Further voted to approve the sale of $2,975,000, 4% general obligation bond anticipation notes, the notes of the town dated April 5th, 2024, and payable April 4th, 2025, to develop Fidelity Capital Markets, a division of National Financial Services, LLC, at par and accrued interest, if any, plus a premium of $15,440.25. Further voted that in connection with the marketing and sale of the notes, the preparation and distribution of a notice of sale and preliminary official statement dated March 6th, 2024, and a final official statement dated March 14th, 2024, each in such form as may be approved by the town treasurer, be and hereby are ratified, confirmed, approved, and adopted. Further voted that the town treasurer and the select board be and hereby are authorized to execute and deliver a significant events disclosure undertaking in compliance with SEC Rule 15C2-12 in such form as may be approved by bond counsel to the town, which undertaking shall be incorporated by reference in the notes for the benefit of the holders of the notes from time to time. Further voted that we authorize and direct the town treasurer to establish post-issuance federal tax compliance procedures and continuing disclosure procedures in such forms as the town treasurer and bond counsel deem sufficient, or if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update said procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax-exempt status of the notes and to comply with relevant securities laws. Further voted that any certificates or documents relating to the notes, collectively the documents, may be executed in several counterparts, each of which shall be regarded as an original, and all of which shall constitute one and the same document. Delivery of an executed counterpart of the signature page to a document by electronic mail in a PDF file or by other electronic transmission shall be as effective as delivery of a manually executed counterpart signature page to such document. And electronic signatures on any of the documents shall be deemed original signatures for the purposes of the documents in all matters relative thereto, having the same legal effect as original signatures. Further voted that each member of the select board, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and are hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, or other documents as may be determined by them or any of them to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing votes. I further certify that the votes were taken at a meeting open to the public and the no vote was taken by secret ballot, that a notice stating the place, date, time, and agenda for the meeting, which agenda included the adoption of the above votes, was filed with the town clerk, and a copy thereof posted in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours in or on the municipal building that the office of the town clerk is located, or, if applicable, in accordance with an alternative method of notice prescribed or approved by the Attorney General, as set forth in 940 CMR 20.03, Section 2B, at least 48 hours, not including Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, prior to the time of the meeting, and remain so posted at the time of the meeting that no deliberations or decision in connection with the sale of the notes were taken in executive session, all in accordance with General Law, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 through 25, as amended. Is that your motion, Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
The motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I will state for the record that all of this has been approved by bond counsel. Is that correct, Mr.? Yes, thank you.
That's correct.
Thank you. I will go for a roll call vote, please. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes. It is so. The documents will be returned to your office tomorrow morning, Mr. Foster.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good night, sir.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, it's not 7:15 quite yet. Ms. Slavin, how fast can you talk?
Less than a minute, but I will give it a shot.
Okay. Ms. Slavin is here to talk about 2 articles that are on the regular town meeting as well as 2 that are going to be on the special town
Yes,
meeting.
Sandy Slavin, I am the treasurer of Community Preservation Committee. Special spring town meeting, we have an article that will be used to pay off the Tremont, part of the Tremont Nail debt. The article is for $76,000 for the debt principal and $19,937.62 for the short-term interest. That's one on the special spring. The other one on the special spring is we are returning funds for projects that have been closed. We will return $20.76 to Community Preservation Open Space Reserve for the dog park, and we will return $8,465.86 to the undesignated funds for projects that have been closed, including the Weantic Ridge 2012 article to build a parking lot, which wasn't done on Blackmore Pond, the balance of the Swiss Beach Engineering, which is not the playground, and the balance of the mobile mats being used on our beaches, unused balance. That's special spring. In spring, we have the final payment of the Tremont Nail reclamation cleanup project. We'll have $250,000 for the debt principal, $15,207.64 for the short term, and that will close out that particular borrowing, so that will be completed. The other article we have is our normal 10% set aside for reserves. This year, we're looking at $1.2 million of estimated revenue from the town and the state. Last year, we got only about 27% back, so I reduced our estimated revenue from the CPA funds by $400,000, and looking at 1.2, which is $120,000 as the 10% for open space, historic, and affordable housing, and $60,000 for admin. Those are the 4 articles. No projects were presented to us to use CPA funds for spring or special spring, and I'm done.
Thank you. The 2 regulars are standard articles that we see every year, right?
Well, one is the reserves.
Right.
The debt isn't an ongoing, it's just there because we are paying off that particular debt.
Okay. Do any of you have any questions of Ms. Slavin? Thank
One thing,
you very much.
One-
Yes.
Conservation will have a public hearing on our recommended change to our wetland bylaw tomorrow at our meeting on the 20th in this room at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
So that's our public hearing on that article.
Excellent. I'm
you.
surprised somebody else didn't make mention of that under announcements. Okay.
I was waiting for Sparky to do it.
Yeah, okay. It is now 7:15. Thank you, Ms. Slavin. I think I did that pretty well, didn't we? Okay, may I have a motion to open the hearing?
I move to open the hearing for the application. Let's try that again. I move to open the hearing for the application from Daniel Ward from Aqua Farms LLC, 51 North Falmouth Highway, North Falmouth, Mass., to renew shellfish grant number W2 for 10 years, term to expire April 16th, 2034.
Is there a second to the motion to open
Second.
the hearing? Motion made to open the hearing and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion to open the hearing? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Myself, the hearing is now open, yes. Mr. Ward, would you identify yourself for the record, please?
Oh, no, that was to open the hearing. Yeah, my name is Daniel Ward, and I'm with Ward Aqua Farms LLC. I think there was a little typo in the agenda, but that is the name that's on the actual, like, license with the town.
Okay. For those,
Same person.
yeah, for those who don't know, can you give us a quick history of shellfish farming in Wareham and how you got involved? Like, you have 2 minutes, because obviously I'm moving things along tonight.
Sure, yeah. So basically, when you farm oysters, or any shellfish for that matter, it's kind of a 4-step process. And so the first step happens in a hatchery, and there's only 4 or 5 hatcheries in all of New England. And then the second step happens in a nursery period, when you get the seed from a hatchery at, say, 1 or 2 millimeters, and still needs to be nurtured. So you have it in a nursery from 1 or 2 millimeters up to, say, ½ inch or so. That's kind of step 2. Step 3 is you grow it out for that first season from ½ an inch to whatever you can get it to by the time the water gets cold in December, depending on the species. It might be 2 inches, 3 inches, whatever. And then the final stage, stage 4, would be that following year, when you grow it out from whatever stage you got it to in that intermediate nursery stage till it's big enough to be able to sell. And so in 2018, I bought the Wareham Marina, which is on the Weantic River down in Rose Point. And applied for a permit to be able to use the inside of the building as a hatchery to be able to do that first stage, and then they'd be able to use some of the slips outside as that second stage, that's nursery stage. And so that's typically how it's done, is to do that second nursery stage, you need access to fresh water, you need access to power, you need access to be able to walk onto it, because these nursery platforms essentially look like an 8 by 20-foot dock. So a slip at a marina is kind of ideal, and shellfish seem to do really well in them, so that's kind of typically how it's done around at least the East Coast. So that was the point of buying the marina, is to be able to, I'm an aquaculturist, not necessarily a boater, but to be an aquaculturist, we need access, commercial access to the water, and running a farm or anything like this out of a waterfront home doesn't always make your neighbors happy. So at a marina, it's already commercially zoned and it already has commercial activity, so it fits really well. So being able to have the marina and be able to do the aquaculture activities side by side really worked out well. And so that was, I guess, 5 years ago now, moving on, and I'd like to continue it. Seems to be working well.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Slavin?
What is the approximate yield that you have each year now?
Well, so it's seed. So that's the thing, when I give reports to the Board of Selectmen each year, and they always read 0, because the numbers that the Board of Selectmen is looking for is yield, and I don't sell any, because the Weweantic River is closed for sale. So I don't sell any. The way that it works in a closed area like the Weweantic is everything has to be out of there by a maximum of 25 millimeters. So what I'll do is grow stuff from, say, 1 millimeter to usually not 20 millimeters. That's usually pretty big. Maybe 15 millimeters or so. So like 1 to 15. So 1, and then some people will buy it at 4 millimeters. Some people will buy it at 6. Some people will buy it at 8. Some people will buy it at 12. And so the yield varies year to year. Typically in the millions, though, in the millions of seed. And I've sold seed to farmers in Wareham. We put seed on our own farm. You have to have it disease tested and then submit those results to the Division of Marine Fisheries before you move anything, and we do that each time too. But, if those 5 hatcheries is kind of the genesis of our whole entire industry in New England, these nurseries is one step past that, which really enables all farmers. So every single farm in Wareham has there's no hatcheries in Wareham other than the one that we produce. So every single farm that's in Wareham buys seed from a hatchery like that. And typically most farmers don't have nursery systems either. So they buy larger seed from nursery systems like that. So it's really kind of the support system for everything that follows after that. So that particular location, we don't sell anything out of it, but that's what enables a lot of other farmers in the region.
Thank you. Gives the people a better idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Mr. Bessie?
Just real quick, growing up on an island that knows a lot about shell fishing, oysters, and correct me if I'm wrong, are the most filter feeding shellfish. They're the ones out of, I believe, anything, maybe scallops might be a little bit more, but they're, for the public, they're what are helping keep our waters clean around here.
I try not to discriminate. All bivalves are good, But yeah, I mean, it's said that adult oysters, like 3-inch adult oysters, can filter up to 50 gallons a day.
Yeah.
Which is pretty significant. And that historically, back in the 1800s, the amount of oysters in the Chesapeake Bay could filter the entire Chesapeake Bay every 3 days, which is pretty wild, right? So obviously, there used to be oyster reefs in the Weweantic. They're covered in silt. There used to be a lot of oyster reefs in the Chesapeake. They're slowly coming back. So we're not where we were, but the more aquaculture farms that we can have, the more that it helps to kind of bring that back, the more oyster reefs that are built, the more nurseries that there are. So we do a lot of projects on my farm with collaborating with universities to look at that exact ecological impact. And working with a group at UMass, we've been able to show that over time, that it really has a significant impact on the environment. So it is removing nitrogen, and it is improving water clarity, but over a long time, it has an impact on the benthos as well. So if we're not going to have enough wild shellfish because of a myriad of reasons we don't need to get into, aquaculture helps kind of fill that gap.
Perfect. And Mr. Bessie, if it's okay with you, oysters taste really good, just an FYI. Got to bring food into it somewhere.
How many oyster farms or shellfish grants are there in Wareham? Do you happen to know off the top of your head?
I want to say 7, it might be 9, I want to say 7.
9. I think might be 9.
It might
but
be 9, yeah, it's either 7 or
Yeah.
9, yep.
Is that your final answer?
And are you aware of the fact that in the late 1800s, that there were 2 major exports from the town of Wareham? One of them was asparagus, and the other was oysters to the New York market.
I believe it, all in front of the marina, it's wild. At low tides, there are reefs, I mean, they're all dead reefs now, but all the way up the whole entire shore on both sides of the river. And you can see them when the tide goes out, well, what was tides at one point, so I mean, and that's way up, we're way, way up, we're basically like up near the freshwater end. So if they were all the way up there, I'm sure they were all the way down the whole entire river. And that's just the wee Antic, what about the Wareham River and everywhere else, so I believe it, for sure.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions of the young man? I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
I move to close the hearing for an application from Danny Ward of Ward LLC, 51 North Falmouth Highway, North Falmouth, Mass., to renew shellfish grant number W2 for a 10 years term to expire April 16th, 2034.
Is there a second to that motion? To close the hearing? Motion made and seconded to close the hearing. Any further discussion on closing the hearing? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Myself, yes. The hearing is closed. I will accept a motion.
I move to approve an application from Danny Ward, Ward LLC, 51 North Falmouth Highway, North Falmouth, Mass., to renew shellfish grant number W2 for a 10-year term to expire April 16th, 2034.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the renewal. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Myself, yes, it is so. Would you sign this, sir, before you leave?
Yep.
Thank you. Let's... We did that.
I recognize your last name, yes. Yeah. Is it your dad that, your cousin? I know him very well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night, and
Have a
thank
nice-
you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Renta, are you here? Mr. Renta, would you step forward, please, and identify yourself for the record? Mr. Renta has a petitioned article on the regular town meeting. I'm going to allow you 5 minutes to speak, only 5 minutes, because that's going to be what you are limited to when you address the town meeting. It is on the town meeting warrant. You submitted something on a petitioned piece of paper, and then when you submitted it in the Word document, you changed the language. I cannot accept your changed language. What I have to go by is what you handed in. So that's how it's going to appear on the warrant. But, so what it says is, petition the, to see if the town will vote to raise an appropriate, oh, that's the wrong one. Will amend the zoning bylaws and other applicable town laws to allow more than 3 licensed marijuana retailers in Wareham. We believe a limit on marijuana retail establishments that operate compliantly only hurts consumer selection, limits the public tax basis, and undermines on open and well-regulated market. So that's what appears on the thing. So if you would identify yourself for the record, sir, and then we'll start the 5 minutes.
Of course. My name's Jack Renta. Thank you guys for having me here. I'm presenting a citizen petition. As Ms. Whiteside referenced, I'm seeking to remove the cap of 3 cannabis retailers. I'm doing so because I've really recently shifted my passion into cannabis compliance and activism, and I do believe that this cap really does hurt the job market for individuals in the cannabis industry. I believe it hurts the consumer selection, it limits our revenue, and it also it just prevents public consumption as well. And I think that overall it's just something that improves our town. I've been in the cannabis industry since 2020, when I reached the age limit to enter the industry. And in this time, I've been able to really grow tremendously. I do not have a college degree, but I was really able to grow a career in cannabis management. I've worked with all kinds of people in this industry, all types of different challenges. I've seen many different operations, and I've really just grown to become passionate about what this industry is. And I really believe that another retail location, and possibly more after the fact, would be beneficial. Some of the reasons that I initially had changed the language to cap it to one additional one rather than moving forward with removing the cap altogether was I felt that it would be an easier transition, as I know that starting with 3 retail licenses was a really smooth transition for us to test the waters of this in our town. But I do believe that raising that limit would just make for prosperous economic growth. Do you have any questions?
Yes?
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was
No, that's okay. Both Mr. Slavin and I listened to your prior presentation to the Finance Committee. Thank you very much for shortening up your
Yeah,
presentation.
absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Bessie.
So, I can appreciate the passion. It's always good to see young folks getting involved and trying to implement some change. But I think some of the concerns that I would see from a high-level perspective, from a business standpoint, is oversaturation in a small area. I mean, Wareham's not small, but it's small. And by adding 1, 2, 3, whatever that number could potentially be, my concern for the businesses that took advantage when the opportunity was there and went through the application process, the host community agreements, all of that stuff, is my concern is, yeah, it might bring some more money to the town, but is it necessarily money that's going to make a huge difference from a town perspective? Or is it really going to hurt the other 3 businesses that are already here by really kind of spreading the wealth, if to say. So not that I'm not against trying to grow things and add more business to the town, but my concern would be is that we wouldn't necessarily be adding more money. We would just be spreading out where it goes.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because I definitely could see the perspective of that. The perspective I more am coming from is from the people employed in the industry. So early in my experience in this industry, I worked in Attleboro, and if you can reference that town, it's pretty saturated in cannabis businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that really stuck with me when I was pretty new in the industry is we were operating in an industrial park at the company I worked at the time. And shortly after, another dispensary popped up right on the same corner as us. And I was like, oh, wow, this is probably going to be pretty bad for us. One thing is that company I worked for didn't have health insurance yet. And this new company that popped up, they did have health insurance. And so a few of our really crucial members of our team went over to work at the dispensary where they could get health insurance, which, is a pretty reasonable decision on their end. And that kind of led the company I worked for to be like, oh, maybe we better do some things to really keep our workforce here. And the cannabis industry, it can really be a pretty cutthroat industry to work in at times. It's very fast-paced. It's very quickly changing. My petition is really in behalf of the workforce rather than the owners of these businesses. And I understand that this would be a little bit harsh because they're going to have a lot more competition, especially if we remove this cap entirely. But as somebody who's worked in this industry, and I've really put blood, sweat, and tears into this from the beginning, I'm very passionate about it, and I really hope to see the best for the people employed in it, because I know there's many other people who would be here with me and, have the same opinions that I do on this and want to just see this grow so that way we can have long-term careers in it. And, for me, my goal is to stay here in Wareham. I love this town. I've grown up here, and seeing this industry grow is a chance for me to, build my life here. And I think a lot of other young people feel this way. And I think a lot of other young people are passionate about this industry as well.
So my last thing, and then I'll let whoever else might have some. So on the flip side of that, I can understand where you want to create jobs in the industry. I can understand 100%. But on the flip side of that, if you bring in more and you saturate the market and business starts to decline and it doesn't become profitable for these businesses to continue to operate, you could lose those businesses. So adding is great, but at what cost to potentially others? So it's a very fine line of trying to understand how many of the same business can thrive in a specific market. So that would be my biggest concern, is that I'm not against adding to industry, but I would really hate to see we add over here to take away from there, and then you've created 10 jobs over here, but then you've lost 15 over here, so then you've net lost. So that would be my biggest concern, is that it's a great idea in thought, but digging deep into it, would it actually be beneficial and being able to do exactly what you're intending or visioning in your mind to actually happen? And that would be my biggest concern, is that it sounds good, but for how long would it be good to actually have a negative effect, potentially? I'm not saying it would, but potentially. So it's just looking at all sides of it before you just, hey, let's have 100 of these things,
Yeah.
and let's employ 10,000 people. And at the end of the day, it just doesn't work. So that's my biggest concern, is thinking about it from all facets and not just from the, hey, we've made more jobs, but are we going to potentially lose them because business declines? And in an economy that we're currently in, if business declines, we see it all the time. Even these large retailers are shuttering their doors, filing bankruptcy because of too much saturation. So that would be my biggest concern.
The great thing about the cannabis industry is it's very versatile, and I think a lot of these companies are prepared for an ever-changing market, because like I said, it really does move so quickly. I think with creating more retail stores, you make room for more variety as well, because what we have in Wareham are a few different stores from each other, but they all kind of fall under the same market. What I kind of hope to see is that another company or maybe a few other companies with just a different business model would come in and offer some sort of just affordable variety that is just a little bit different, creates more jobs, rather than just doing the same thing as the dispensaries we already have, because it wouldn't even really be a good idea on their end to come into a place where there's 3 established dispensaries already successful and they're doing what they're doing. To come in and do the same thing, it wouldn't really do anything other than, like you're saying, saturate that. So I mean, I'm hoping that with the competition, these other companies, maybe they also are opening to changing their business models up to follow with the competition that's going on. I think overall it would be a beneficial thing, because at the end of the day, these companies are prepared for change like that. They do have to be prepared for competition, because that is just the natural state of this industry, whether they're in the same towns or surrounding towns. I think really the surrounding towns are becoming a little bit saturated as well. So, and
I'm going to ask you to stop. Okay?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's really not a debate. It's more, I don't think that was really a question from Mr. Bessie.
Sorry.
It was more, no, that's fine.
Understood.
Mr. Chadwick?
So, I definitely support the cannabis industry a heck of a lot more than the alcohol industry. And the reason for this is I would rather have someone, we'll say, quote, overdosing on marijuana than dealing with a drunk in the back of my ambulance any day. But that goes to show the same thing is, tapping off of Ron here, is we have a liquor store on every corner, and that industry is definitely saturated. I would rather not see a liquor store on every corner. I mean, I could probably support an additional 1 or 2, but I've seen that Provincetown has an unlimited up there. Cape Cod is completely saturated with them all over the place. I don't think putting this as unlimited, in my opinion, is a smart idea. What's that famous saying? Too much of a good thing is a bad thing? It's one of those sayings, I can't remember, but I do think maybe a couple more, but unlimited, I can't really support something like that. And like I said, I definitely fully support I've seen it with medical advances and everything like that. I definitely do support it. That's the
Okay,
only
thank you.
statement I have.
Okay, that was a statement, so not a question.
Yeah, no, understood.
All right, thank you. I'm
for
going to
coming tonight.
ask you to step back. We will vote probably later on in the evening on other items on the regular town meeting, which is where this one sits. I recognize that the individuals from Doobie are here. We're not going to have you speak. So what's in front of us is just a vote to authorize the modification in the host community agreement. If you want us to move that forward in the agenda, I can do that so that we could vote and you could go home if you wanted to.
Thank you so much, that would be...
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sullivan, if you would, please, sir. We're under 9J. This was a modification in the host community agreement with Doobie. You have the paperwork in front of you, Mr. Sullivan, if you would explain what it is that we're looking at.
It's just a minor modification, and it's something that's already going on in the facility. That's at 4 Kendrick Road, and that's for the delivery services. So it wouldn't be really an additional license or anything on there. It's just an additional host agreement.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Sullivan?
What's the additional host agreement, please?
Yeah, you have it in front of you. I
Yep,
don't have it in
we
front
do.
of me to give you the exact.
I don't know. I'm just
Hang
trying
on.
to find it in the packet.
I haven't found it in the packet yet. I'm sure it's there, but
It is here. I saw it.
Sometimes it's easier when you have paper.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's an additional delivery fund in there. So are you asking specifically what type of delivery?
He's asking what the change in the HCA is, sir.
It's to allow the other type of delivery too. And if you've got Miss Kennedy there, Madam Chairperson, if you need the description, right?
I would
If you need it, I mean, you've got it in the packet, so.
Yeah, it is in the packet.
Just the whole thing has not to change.
Mr. Bowen, oh, here it is.
Sorry, Madam
No, I've
Chair,
got
it's
it.
just
Here it is.
when you skip around on me, it's a little difficult.
It's difficult on everybody, Mr. Sullivan. We've been playing pogo all night long. So I can read it into the record if you want.
just let me see if
All right.
I don't have an issue. I just want to know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm sorry, Miss. Hang on. Did you find it toward the
No,
end? Okay. Yeah.
it's somewhere in here.
It is. It's toward the way back.
Way back?
Way back. He's got it in front of him. He being Mr. Slavin.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, it's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Any other questions?
Negative.
If I don't hear any objections, I would ask for a motion to authorize Mr. Sullivan to sign the modification agreement for Doobie, the host community agreement for Doobie.
So moved.
Is there a second to that motion? Motion made and seconded to approve the modification, authorize Mr. Sullivan to sign the modification agreement. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
So,
Hearing.
just
ahead.
just so I understand, so you currently operate, I have it right here. You currently operate one, but it sounds like, is the second one more of like being almost like a delivery service for other retailers?
Yes,
I'm-
yes, it
I'm
is.
sorry, I'm sorry, I should have
Yeah,
asked you.
that's
to-
okay. Yeah, yes, it is.
Yes, correct. So the one we have right now, the warehouse, the products are...
Okay, you're not on the speaker, so,
Come sit up here and.
yeah, come on, sit up here and just identify yourself for the record. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I should have.
Now you can answer his question. Would you identify yourself for the record, please?
Absolutely. My name is Erica Kennedy, and I'm the owner of Doobie. And yes, to answer your question, right now, we currently operate as a marijuana delivery operator, where we warehouse the product at our facility and deliver it directly to consumers. The second delivery license type is a marijuana courier, where we would partner with licensed dispensaries and deliver directly from the dispensary to consumers as well, just creating more access.
So almost like DoorDash.
Exactly.
Okay, just for
Exactly.
the concept. Okay, I just wanted to understand it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah, the state basically expanded the delivery programs, and that's what this is.
Are you using only companies in town or companies surrounding as well?
In terms of the
As courier, you just said you were getting it from,
So, as of right now, we work with different licensed product manufacturers from around the state to build out our menu. But that's a completely different license.
Okay,
category.
we're gonna limit it to the host agreement modification. I'm a little uncomfortable in having what essentially is a hearing. I don't know, Mr. Bowen, can we continue in this line or not?
Up to you.
Okay, then, all right.
forgive my ignorance on this whole thing. So the courier, basically, you're picking it up from somewhere?
We'd pick it up from a licensed dispensary.
All right, so so do you do all licensed dispensaries in the area, or do you strictly stick to
No,
Wareham?
it would strictly be whoever we partnered with. We're not yet moved forward in signing an agreement with any dispensaries until we complete the local and state process.
Okay, that was just,
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I believe
Yeah, I
there's a
think,
motion.
are you going to recommend the name of Doobie Dash?
You better-
It's not bad, it's not bad.
you better
We might-
trademark.
You better trademark that now.
We actually were able to trademark Doobie, so that was exciting.
I can't believe that. No way.
And can I just make
Wow.
one quick comment?
No, sorry.
It was just the address, I'm sorry.
No, okay. There's a motion to authorize in a second.
Yes.
Yes, so I'm going to call for a roll call vote, please. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. Mr. Sullivan will be signing that modification and getting it to you.
Fantastic.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much. Have a great night.
You as well.
You also.
Thank
Glad
you.
to see you guys doing well.
Thank you.
so much.
Thanks, Erica.
Take care. And my nana says hi.
Okay, now I'm going to go back to 8A. Mr. Chadwick, I'd like a motion for 8.
Yeah, I'm going to need that.
Yeah, okay, take it.
I don't have it.
Okay, and it's this plus that,
All right.
and it can be done quickly.
I move for the renewal of the following seasonal common vicular all alcohol liquor licenses under the provisions of Chapter 138 of MGL for the year 2024 as listed in the agenda. 1 through 3.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve as presented on the agenda. Is there any further discussion? Yes, sir.
We probably should put the words "subject to receiving all department approvals and required paperwork."
They are in hand, actually,
All of them?
all of
Okay.
them. Yep.
Just reading off the agenda.
Yes, thank you. We put it on there just to double check, but yeah. Do you want that as part of your motion? Subject to, okay, is that part of your second? Subject to all of
Receive all department approvals and
and
required paperwork.
paperwork and payments? That's part of your, okay.
Yes.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. Yep.
Yep. I move for the renewal of the following season common vicular wine malt liquor license under the provisions of Chapter 138 of MGL for year 2024 under Section B 1 and 2 as printed in the agenda, subject to receiving all department approvals and required paperwork.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve as listed and written. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Myself, yes, it is so.
Thank you. I move for the renewal of the following year-round common vic license under the provisions of Chapter 140 of MGL for the year 2024, subject to receiving all department approvals and required paperwork for Section C, 1 through 4, as printed in the agenda.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve as listed. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. That's a skip, okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
I move for the renewal of seasonal package store all liquor licenses under the provisions of Chapter 130 of MGL for the year 2024, Section F of the agenda 1 and 2, subject to receiving all department approvals and required paperwork.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve is listed on the agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. We skipped over the entertainment licenses on purpose. They will be on a future agenda.
All right, I move to approve the Onset Bay Association application for the kayak poker run event, Shell Point Lot Beach, on June 29th, 2024, pending all department approvals and permission of the town administrator.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call. No? Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so.
I move to approve the Onset Bay Association application for the Onset Summer of Love Concert Series event, Wednesday nights at the Bandshell, June 26th through August 28th, 2024. Rain location would be at the Onset VFW, pending all department approvals and permission of the town administrator.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve is read. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so.
I move to approve the Onset Bay Association application for the Wareham Celebrates Pride event at Bayview Park on June 1st, 2024. Rain date, June 2nd, 2024, pending all department approvals and permission of the town administrator.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve as read. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, it is so.
I move to approve the Onset Bay Association application for Blessing of the Fleet event Onset Pier on July 6th, 2024. Rain date, July 7th, 2024, pending all department approvals and permission of the town administrator.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve is read. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so.
I move to approve the Onset Bay Association application for the Family Beach Day event Onset Beach, west of Pier, on July 13th, 2024, with a rain date of July 14th, 2024, pending all department approvals and permission of the town administrator.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve is read. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, it is so.
I move to approve the Onset Bay Association application for the Chalk Festival event, Prospect Park in Banchill, on August 17th, 2024. Rain date, August 18th, 2024, pending all department approvals and permission of the town administrator.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve is read. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, it is so.
I move to approve the Church of the Good Shepherd application for the Wareham Walks for the Homeless event on May 19th, 2024, pending all department approvals.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve is read. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, it is so. Okay, thank you very much. Town business, we already did that. We have authorized from time to time the police department to use, at their request, towing companies specifically for police and first responder business. I've discussed this with the chief as well as the town administrator. I'd accept a motion, please, on E.
I move to authorize the town, authorize of towing companies, Marks Towing and Portside Towing, FKA Vaughn's Towing, under MGL Chapter 61A.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve as read. Hearing none?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
could you just drop the reference to Chapter 61A?
Yes, he just did. Is there, that's,
Thank
that-
you.
Dropping it.
yeah. Is there a second to the motion as changed?
Has changed, yes.
Okay, thank you. This has been discussed with the chief. I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Abstain.
And myself. 3, 301, it is so. Mr. Slavin, I'm going to ask you to address item 9F, which is discussion and possible vote to draft a letter to Department of Transportation.
I received from the Indian Mountain Association complaint basically about the excessive traffic and stuff coming off of Cranberry Highway, people going down to Indian Mountain Association Beach, which is private, not realizing that's the case and causing problems with parking, traffic, etc. The sign is kind of a metal pole that goes up and it says Indian Mound with an arrow, which really is not correct. It shouldn't be that way. They asked about it. Mass DOT said that they would go ahead and remove it, but now they want us to actually, the Board of Selectmen to vote, and they'll have a problem removing it. So I would ask for a motion to go ahead and remove the sign, and then we'll send a letter to them.
So
I have
moved.
a question first before you do that. Mr. Bowen, is this under the purview of the road commissioners, sir?
There's a state sign or a town sign.
State sign.
State sign.
It's under the purview of the state.
Correct. And they basically asked us as a Board of Selectmen to give them a letter from the board. That's Mass DOT, Rich.
So,
Was that
Madam Chair, I think it's constituent services. It's not a road commission or road action. You're being asked to send something to the state on behalf of the Indian Mountain Association. It has nothing to do with our town roads or bylaws for the roads.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
not a, with your permission, Madam Chairman, that's exactly the case. And it's, you're asking the state to do something, that's all.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's it.
I move to draft a letter to the DOT requesting to remove the Indian Mountain Beach sign on Cranberry Highway on the west side of Route 628.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to ask the state to draft a letter to authorize the chair to send a letter.
Yes.
Is that your second, authorize the chair?
Yes.
I will, is the motion made and seconded, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so.
I move to accept the donation of the Council on Aging for $1,300 from Advocates for Seniors, Inc.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve, to accept a donation, very generous donation.
Yes.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. Next.
I move to approve the fiscal year 2024 second half year curbside commitment for $1,344,862.50.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Yeah, no, you did it
You got it.
perfectly.
You got there eventually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, we're all, yeah. Motion made and seconded
It's too
to
much.
approve that curbside commitment. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick and myself,
Yes.
yes, it is so. We already did J, and now Mr. Sullivan. We're going in order, sir, so could we possibly have you DoorDash to number K? It's a modification and a host agreement with Nature's Medicine.
Yeah, so the Nature's Medicine, the modification to the host agreement is, I don't know, you've probably seen it on a few different municipalities have actually been sued by cannabis retailers. And this is Nature's Medicine's a very good partner. And in their new HCA, they've put in there for indemnification that they would not sue for any past payments or anything. And it was their counsel and them did a very nice job putting this together. So the only thing, this is just a renewal of the host community agreement, and that is the only change, which is quite beneficial to the town. So really good partners, and we hope that all of our retailers should put that in their host community agreements.
Yep. I move to authorize the renewal and modification, paragraph 10, mutual release of all claims against one another in host community agreement with Nature's Medicine, Inc.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the modification and the renewal. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin? Mr.
Yes.
Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick? And
Yes.
myself, it is so.
I move to accept a $750 donation from the Friends of the Wareham Free Library to the Wareham Free Library.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, it is so. Okay, before we go to talking about town meeting warrant articles, Mr. Sullivan, I'm going to ask that you give your report, sir.
I can do that. So, thank you. Last Friday, we were able to host, the first time I can remember in a long time, the MMA's Legislative Breakfast. I'd like to thank the MMA for coming down and considering us. We were joined by Representative Gifford, which was great to have her there. Select Board Member Slavin was there, and I missed out an opportunity because his involvement with the MMA over the years has been quite beneficial for the town, and I meant to thank him there, but of course I missed the moment. So take this as a de facto thank you, Alan. We also had...
I'll wait for the trampoline special.
I was also heartened to see we had the Finance Committee chairperson there, Norma Scogan, and representative from the associate member from the planning board, Ms. Quirk. So it was nice to see other people engaged in it. A lot of compliments on our hall, and it was over 3 hours of information. So a lot of information, but it was good to network with some of the other members and hear that it's not just us that go through some of the issues through the different communities. So really, I was really proud to host it for the community. The next item is, I've been speaking about this, catch basin cleaning is continuing. We're now done with over 1,500 of them. And just, I was going out to take a look. It looks like they are painting them with the bright orange spot. So if you see on the grates, the orange paint mark, that means that catch basin has been cleaned. We still have at least, I'd say, another 15, probably closer to 1,800 to go, but they're moving through quickly on those. So to follow up on that too, what's good is, as part of that list, we're receiving the exact location of some of the catch basins that are having issues. Are they collapsed? Is there some drainage? Is there some other things? So just so you know, it's not before you tonight, but in the special town meeting, as part of the capital plan, I'm requesting $100,000 for MS4 for the catch basins to repair those and disposal of the materials. So we think that's going to be a big help and to continue that progress. And then, so this all comes into sort of a sequence of sorts, and I'm trying not to curse us, so knock on wood. We are planning the beginning of April to start street sweeping again. You always want to do it after the snow and ice season, so you're not putting down more sand after you've cleaned it up. So again, beginning in April, you'll see the street sweepers out. And once they're done, which would be approximately beginning of May, that's when we start the crosswalk painting, because you want that to be done. So that's sort of our sequence. I know that Mr. Menard and his staff have been working hard in the cemetery expansion as well. So just one of the many things they have on their plate. This next item is something that Select Board Member Slavin's been working on for a long time, and I just want to make sure that there's some sequences that have caused us to come to the forefront. So, gosh, I'd say it was about 6, maybe 7 years ago. He and I were approached by members of the Oak Grove Cape Verdean Cultural Council, and what they let us know was that they knew that the lease would be ending for Head Start at some point in the future. It was being run out of the Oak Grove School on Onset Ave. And they told us flat out that they felt that the rug had been, taken out from under them before, that they'd promised that that would be something for the Cape Verdean Cultural Center, and that didn't happen, and it basically got released out from underneath them. So I know that Select Board Member Slavin had been very vocal about trying to right that situation. So long story short, we'll fast forward a little bit. A few years ago when the leases were up, we put that out for bid, and the Oak Grove Cape Verdean Cultural Center folks, they actually were the most responsive bidder, and they kept the Head Start program in there until we sold the East School at auction, and guess what? The Head Start program bought that. So as you know, the Head Start is staying within the community. It's going in the East School, and that will be done soon. So once that's done, I think we need to start the process of moving forward with having that building as a museum, and whether it's whether it's under town control or not, I think we work together to try and figure out. But it's time to really move that forward and make sure that the representatives know that we're moving this forward and not going to pull the rug out from underneath them. So that was a lot. I apologize, but were you able to follow that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So, and those were sort of the items that are going forward right now.
Okay, do you want to do a quickie budget presentation? Are there any major changes from the presentation that you made to us previously, sir?
The couple different things, and I have a thumb drive sitting on my desk that is not doing any benefit to us. So I will give you sort of the, as a former select board member would say, the Reader's Digest version. One of the changes you'll see is the short-term interest on the borrowing, on the excluded debt borrowing. That's what you approved tonight. So we had approximately 85,000 in there because that's where we were at last year. Obviously, interest rates had changed a little bit, but that's an in and an out. In other words, if the interest goes up, then the debt exclusion, is just a part of that. Probably the biggest change you'd see is I was going through the receipts for Medicaid. They were trending about 14% higher, and we were doing a little bit better in one other section. So we were able to put some more money in some areas that I considered concern, which was one, the school department. And it's they will be voting on the budget. And my understanding, when we were done with it, it's their increase would be $1,121,004. And then really the only other change were a little bit more money into the veteran services line, just with the way they were trending, and then the FICA line as well. And as I went over and just went through the health insurance one more time, seeing where we stand today, plus the, I know there's some planned, some positions going away. So trying to plan those in as part of it. So all told, it's essentially the same budget you saw before, and I think the overall increase between things going back and forth was a little over 100,000 out of the 81 million.
Okay. Any questions? No. Okay.
No, I'd just like to thank Mr. Sullivan. The Oak Grove School has a long history for the Cape Verdean residents. It has a lot of importance to them. And I basically promised I'd find a way to make it work. And I told him I'd work with Mr. Sullivan to make it work. And without his help, I couldn't have done it either. And these are one of the things where we actually have what I call a win-win situation. We don't get them very often. This is definitely one. Thank you.
Thank you. I also brought the Oak Grove School as possibly a museum up with Mr. Keating when I met with him several months ago. And he gave me some helpful hints on how to pursue it, and I'm going to be following right up with Mr. Slavin, who is not going to be able to go away and disappear. Anything else in your report, Mr. Sullivan?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. Let's go, Mr. Chadwick. Can we do some of these?
Of course. All right. First one, I move to recommend favorable action on Article 6, fiscal year 25 capital plan.
But he didn't, okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to recommend favorable action. Any further discussion on that motion?
Yeah, just so you know, with the capital plan for the annual town meeting, we don't have any items on there. Everything's being done through the special. And any of the sewer articles are a separate article. So, I guess we would be passing over that one.
Yeah, but we can recommend favorable action and then it gets passed over.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Motion made and seconded to recommend favorable action. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie? Mr. Chadwick? And
Yes.
myself, yes. It is so.
Before we go.
Yep.
Mark, they've already voted for the towing fee. You're all set. You don't have to wait.
Oh, I was just wondering what was going on.
We voted probably about 15 minutes ago on that. You're
It's
all set.
it's a renewal of people who, of the two towing companies that the chief wants to continue to work with in terms of the police and first responders.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Thank you.
I heard it was on the agenda and I wasn't sure.
That's what it is, sir.
Okay, just to let you know.
All right. I move to recommend favorable action on Article number 7, fiscal year 25 budget.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the budget as presented. Recommend favorable action. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll go for roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Myself, it is so.
We're getting
4,
slap
yes, it
happy
is 4, 0, 0.
All right, I move to recommend favorable action on Article 8, emergency
No,
medical.
not yet. On the emergency medical services, you want to hold on to that one, Derek? EMS budget?
Yeah, I think that's that still needs to
Yep.
go before you. And
Yeah,
they-
it hasn't, okay. No,
Yeah,
we can't-
the interesting part about that is with some of the retirements and changeover, the budget's only $20,000 difference from FY '24.
But we haven't
So-
gotten a presentation yet.
Right, no, I'm just giving a,
Yeah.
I'm nerding out, if you will.
Yeah,
So-
me too. Well, do you want,
Which ones can I do?
well, do you,
Madam Chair, we'll take it at the next meeting.
Thank you.
If that's,
Continue.
We should wait until we got a mold to go over this.
yeah, but we can do,
Just said wait until the next.
we can do this one, and we can do this one, because we heard from her.
I move to recommend favorable action on Article number 12, fiscal year 2025 Community Preservation Fund reserves.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to recommend favorable action. Any further discussion? As presented by Mrs. Slavin earlier. Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Myself? Yes, it is so.
I move to recommend favorable action on Article 13, remove limit of 3 licensed marijuana retailers.
That's the citizens petition?
Yes.
Why didn't you do that one?
You just told me, all right.
Oh, go ahead. He's made a motion for favorable action on the citizens petition. Is there a second to the motion?
Before we do it, normally on a citizens petition article, this is just my opinion, that the board, we basically, I don't believe the discussion earlier really should have expressed our opinion. We could do it at town meeting, because it's a citizens petition, which we have really no say on, but just what it is. Go ahead, you can make whatever you want to do now. I have a little problem with that one, but it's okay.
Then withdraw it. Withdraw it.
Withdraw. All right.
That one.
I
That's,
move to recommend favorable action on Article 11, Tremont Nail Remediation Project.
Second.
motion made and seconded to recommend favorable action, again, as presented by Ms. Slavin. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. Item 14, which is the recycling center, actually has been withdrawn by the petitioners. So I would ask for a motion to pass over.
So,
Is there a
second.
Motion made and seconded to pass over. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. Is that all we can do? Okay. All right. Where's my agenda?
That's it.
Okay, liaison initiative reports, board's comments.
Go back to item N.
Oh, is there anything under 48-hour business? I'm not aware of it.
I would like to ask that the Board of Selectmen allow WCTV to present in 2 half-hour segments the town meeting, I won't call it a seminar, but how the town meeting works. Basically,
I'm not going to let you address this under 48-hour business. I'm going to ask you to do it under your liaison report,
okay, I'm
Okay,
trying to do it
excellent.
legally.
because I'm a little uncomfortable with that one. Okay. Liaison initiative reports.
Okay, let's try this again. I'll give the background. Basically, our town moderator and myself sat down and, thought about putting together a TV program for the residents explaining how town meeting works, all the different sidebars that go with it, the different rules, regulations. We did this in 2 half-hour segments with WCTV, with my friend over here. And it's something that I thought we should do a long time ago. And we finally actually put it together. It'll go up, hopefully, I'm asking to put it up on the town website. And also WCTV will be broadcasting as it goes along. And it's up to the moderator whether she wants to run that before people go into town meeting at the end of April as well. But I think it's something that's long overdue. A lot of people go to town meeting and they see something come up and they hear a term or a particular piece and they have no idea what's really going on. Or someone might think that something got voted a certain way and it may not have. So I would ask that the board allow us to do this.
I don't think we really need a motion. I guess we could take a, do we think it's a great idea in informing the public of what goes on?
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, knowledge is power.
100%.
So it will be put on the town website as well as on WCTV. Would you take care of that, Mr. Day, tomorrow? Because I won't be around.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It's something that I think helps everybody.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, sir. Anything else under your liaison initiatives?
Yes. I've noticed that there's been comments on the Route 6 and 28 road project. I will basically give you a background. Every 2 weeks, there's a meeting between the actual contractor, Mass DOT, and a couple other people involved. The project was delayed, and I want people to understand why. The Verizon, which is our telephonic central lines, had to be removed from the poles before Eversource could remove the poles. And Verizon was quite late to getting to do it. They're way behind. Eversource did what they could, but they were behind. In our project with the 40B, which is Dakota Partners, ran into all kinds of roadblocks on their end with their problems, which delayed that intersection there as well. You get to a certain point in what we call the winter, which is usually the beginning of November, the asphalt plants all close. So what's happened is you have what we'll call a binder coat on that road. You don't have permanent lines as far as the actual traffic lines. This is all temporary, people. And what will happen is on April 1st, the project goes back into operation and they basically will go ahead and finish everything that needs to be done. The light poles that are up there, that the state has half, town has half. The poles are up, half of them are wired, the other half they have to finish, and those should start to come on shortly as well. So please be patient. There's nothing we can do when they can't do the work itself because they don't have raw materials. The other piece, I'm trying to think there was something else that was mentioned, going brain dead today. I guess I'll stop there.
Thank you. Mr. Bessie?
No.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yeah, first I'd like to apologize for my slow speaking and stuttering and everything else. Been at work for the last 34 hours and then zoomed up here, so a little tired. Secondly, I'd like to invite everyone in joining me at the Plymouth County District Attorney's Office Children's Advocacy Center as we observe Child Abuse Prevention Month during our 13th annual open house at our new location, Thursday, April 4th at 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Light refreshments will be served. The Plymouth County Children's Advocacy Center, 233 Water Street in Plymouth, Mass. Please RSVP to Kristen, GERRITSEN @mass.gov by March 27th, 2024. And I am ready to go home and go to sleep.
You look like it.
Madam Chair, before I missed something today that I think is important, so I apologize. Today, the Wareham Police Association hosted a blood drive for Grace and other patients battling leukemia and in need of blood transfusion. That's through the Boston Children's Hospital. And it's a really great event. I just want to thank them for what they're doing for the community. I know it's at least the second event. I remember they did it last year. They've been hosting stops for the Tan Mass Challenge hydration. I think it's really great for them engaging within the community and really appreciate their efforts.
I would echo your thanks to them. They've done a lot of things, both individually and as well as in a group for the committee, for the community. You know, the stuff at Cruiser and all that other good stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Oh, so it came back into your mind.
I have no mind. I'm old.
Okay.
Just also for the public, we worked very hard to try and get the Swift Beach road alignment done through Mass DOT because it's on state road. We have no control. And also the traffic light with the new 40B going in there and other pieces as well. Unfortunately, things didn't work out. Mass DOT didn't get the work done that's required, didn't have the monies all completely lined up budget-wise. And today, what they call the MMPO, which is done through SERPED, it has to do with the actual TIP, which is the Transportation Improvement Program, and that's what gets done per year as far as road projects. And I worked as hard as I could, but they've moved the project back to 2026. It was supposed to be started in 2024 and finished in 2025, and it will now be started and finished in 2026. So for those of you who are hoping to see that road finished and done, I basically lost and I couldn't get it moved back to where it was. But I did make sure that Mass DOT was on the carpet if anybody gets hurt again between now and then.
Thank you. Okay. I just want to let everyone know that on the town website, there is a list of all of the board and committee openings. There are several, so I would ask people to step up and volunteer. And Mr. Chadwick, I will ask you to make a motion on the minutes, please.
I move to approve the meeting minutes of Select Board meeting minutes of 3/5/24.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll go for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin, Mr. Bessie,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick.
Yes.
And myself, yes, they are approved.
Motion to adjourn, folks.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. It is not debatable. Good night, Wareham. Roll call vote.
Don't have to adjourn it if you don't want to.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes.
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 Yes, yes, it is. We are adjourned at 8:24, I believe.
Good
Maybe.
night, Wareham.
Good night, Wareham. Thank you very much.
Technically 23.